how you use words. So if you notice the way Marshall was talking to his doctor, the words, what he was programming. So in your relationship, in your business relationships, think about the words that you're talking, because you're going to program those results.
Get ready to be seen here, there, and every freaking where. Welcome to the AI and Chill podcast with your host, CoachDeb.
That trends,
14-year-olds everywhere celebrating.
So that's another thing to actually point out. If you want to know what is going to happen in social media, whether it's TikTok, whether it's this new short form video that's coming out, and it's becoming very popular. It's $1 billion industry in China. You watch what the teenagers are doing.
Yes.
You watch what tweens are doing, preteen. And that, by the way, that's how I should talk to you about like fortune telling, because with social media, wrote the first book on it, literally predicting that YouTube would be the thing, that the way business owners would get business and would get notoriety and get fame. And how do I know that? But part of it is looking at teens. The other thing that you had mentioned about listening to your wives, like women are wired for this intuition, and it's weird, it's uncanny, but the more we listen to it, and I believe there's a lot of hypnosis there. So there's a couple things to unpack, but really in how you use words. So if you notice the way Marshall was talking to his doctor, the words, what he was programming. So in your relationship, in your business relationships, think about the words that you're talking, because you're going to program those results. Same thing with AI. When you're prompting it, if you get bad prompts, it's because you're not prompting it. You're not using the right words. So I want to bring Marshall on as a regular guest to start talking about prompting AI. So again, you can use AI and chill. That's the goal, right? You have the robots working for you. Another thing he talked about is a robot did his surgery. So we want to look into, hey, what are children becoming now? Are they still wanting to be a doctor or an attorney? People are like, oh, never. Robots can't replace a doctor. We're seeing it. We're seeing the future unfold right before our very eyes. And I believe you probably would trust a robot more than a human, because the human, like a robot, doesn't get the shakes. The robot doesn't get
the shakes. It doesn't get emotional.
Yeah.
It only does what it's told to do. And I think that that's important.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're watching this program right now, you should understand every single thing going on in your life, whether you're broke, whether you're alone, whether you're unhealthy, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, is your responsibility. And even if it's not your fault, it's your responsibility. There are people that have really bad health. Stephen Hawking comes to mind, somebody who has dealt an unfortunate hand health-wise that still lives a very fulfilling life. Why? Because their prompt says, this is my life. I'm not going to sit here and complain. I'm not going to throw in the towel and say my life is over because this unfortunate alignment of my universe put me in a circumstance where my body is diseased or I'm unfortunate. Successful people don't do that.
Right.
I have 4 brothers. I have 6 sisters. I've got 10 siblings. All 4 of my brothers have beautiful Elvis Presley heads of hair. My hair doesn't do the same thing. My hair doesn't grow like that. And at the same time, though, I got all the brains. I got all the money, that's for sure. And I think part of that is there's a part of me, because I lost my hair early on, that felt like I had to work harder, that I had to give more, that I had to do more, I had to be better. And I think that's what really did it. And, sometimes people think, well, that wasn't just it. I think it is. I think part of the challenge is sometimes really good looking people, they have it too easy. And so they don't have to work hard.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, my idea is that everything happens for a reason and it serves us. And finding our lives less than perfect is a waste of time. It is what it is. And I know that sounds very zen, yet it is what it is. You've been married a couple of times. I was married a couple of times before I found my one true wife. When Erica met me, she said, do you think you'll ever want to be married again? And I said, absolutely not. No, I'm not the marrying type. I don't do well with marriage. She didn't get upset. She said, okay. We were having lunch a couple of weeks later with a friend of mine. He said, you look like you're in love. I said, I've never been this much in love. He said, when are you guys getting married? I said, none of your business. And Erica, as smart as this woman is, put her hand on my shoulder and she said, whether Marshall and I are ever legally married or not, we will be together for a lifetime. And I looked over at her and I looked inside of myself and I said, it's not marriage you're opposed to. Distinction.
Yes.
It's divorce that I was opposed to.
Yes.
And here was a woman that said, doesn't matter whether we get legally married or not, we're going to be together. That's the message.
Yes.
That was a different prompt.
Yes.
She wanted to be married. That's what she wanted.
Sure.
Except she wasn't upset that she wasn't going to get married because she was smart enough to know the priority was not to be married. The priority was to be with me.
Yeah. And being together. And then she maybe hypnotized Marshall,
Well,
the
she
goat
certainly
of
did.
hypnosis.
So a week later, actually, we were at Sir Richard Branson's Necker Island. I'd rented out the whole island to do an event. And I proposed to her on the roof of the Great House on Necker Island. And I had fireworks that went off after I proposed to her.
I love it.
And after the fact, I realized I'm sure glad she said yes, because that would have been awkward. Oh, she said no. Look, fireworks. Whee! She says yes. And we didn't get married, though, for about another 6 years. In fact, our 2 boys were born before we were legally married. Yet from the moment I proposed to her, the moment that I had made the decision that I wanted her to be my wife, I called her wife. She called me husband. We wore rings. Nothing really changed as far as our relationship was concerned. Had our 2 sons. And then the 4 of us got married. 7 years to the minute from the moment I first laid my eyes on her. And that was almost 19 years ago that we got together.
Yeah. So everything is hypnosis.
Everything's hypnosis. Everything is prompt.
Yes. Yes.
We get back what we send out. Do this experiment. Later in the day today, meet somebody you haven't met. And when you introduce yourself, just put your hand out and just give your first name. Hello, my name is Marshall. They'll give you just their first name back. The next person you meet, put your hand out and say, hi, my name is, and give your first and last name. Hi, my name is Marshall Sylver. They'll give you first and last name back. So the lesson here is we get back what we send out. And if you're hearing no a lot, it's because you're fun to say no to. You've got to figure out how to be fun to say yes to. And so the first step of empowerment is personal responsibility. You've got to accept the fact that the world does what the world does. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not. You get back what you send out. So if you keep hearing no, if you keep not getting the result that you want, if you keep ending up in bad relationships, the only common denominator is you. Like me, I kept ending up in bad relationships until I finally asked my universe, asked God for something different. I said, God, I just want someone kind, no drama. You know, you're great friends with Becky Robbins, and I adore that woman. She's just remarkable. Tony, her ex-husband, and David Copperfield, another example. These are guys that work 340, 350 days a year. I'll say it publicly. That's not a life. I don't care how devoted you are to something. That's not a life.
Yeah.
I want to spend time with my wife. She's my priority. I want to spend time with my children. They are my priority. And I don't care what kind of work you're doing. If you don't spend that kind of time with your children and with your wife, you're going to have challenges. There's going to be headaches down the road. And so it's a prompt. It's a matter of saying, I want a balanced life. How do I get there?
Yeah. It's the chill part of life.
And
so that's what excites me about the AI coming into our world. Everyone else, I think, is scared of it. So again, we're talking about language. This is why I wanted you as my first guest, because if we don't fear AI, just like you talked about in the beginning of this podcast, if we don't fear the whole health, it wasn't a health scare. That's bad languaging, right? It was an event. It was open heart surgery.
It's a different prompt.
It's a different prompt. How do we, first of all, prompt our LLMs to give us the life that we want and to give us the life that we can run a business and chill, have family time? Because I think we're seeing this more and more, people placing emphasis. So even with my boyfriend, Jason, you've met him many times.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I feel like there's a theme, go date more bald men because they're just so perfect. Like I have a theory, and
just so you know, the carpet matches the drapes.
I have a theory that he might be AI walking amongst us, because most men, they do something and they make a mistake and they keep repeating it. And I never, so this is again programming. When I was younger, I never wanted to be a nagging wife. So again, it's finding someone that you don't have to be a nag for. So if I say something once that I don't like, or could you do something, he literally never makes the mistake again. So I feel like this is AI, because you just talk to your AI and then so I want to know, how do we conform our AI so we can run a business and chill? Right? We can have our business running for ourselves because we've got all these AI things, but how do we get it so that our personal lives also respond to us? Can we program AI to hypnotize us?
100%.
And what are the ethical ways to train AI?
Yes.
Right? So that it does, because again, you're a hypnotist, you're the GOAT, you're the world's best hypnotist. And now we have AI that everyone
so
can
read
have.
My press releases.
Yeah. Yes, I have, and I believe them. Right? So we can all have the GOAT of hypnosis in our pocket by saying, act like Marshall Sylver. That's how I would start the prompt.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
When we ask, what would Jesus do, is what
Mhm.
Christians ask.
Yes.
They get into a predicament and they say, what would Jesus do right now? And so you could put that in anything. What would a millionaire do? What would a good husband do? What would a good father do right now?
Right.
And that is a really good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Eric and I will be in a disagreement and I'll take a deep breath and I'll say, what would a really loving, understanding, empathetic husband do right now? And he might say, even if I'm 1,000% in disagreement with whatever it is we're interacting about, I might say, I do not agree with you. I'm not very happy right now. Although I love you and I'd like to get back to love. Would you like to get back to love? There's only one answer to that in a healthy relationship. She could say, I am so mad at you right now. I'm fire's coming out of my ears. But yes, if there's a way to get back to love, I want to get back to love. That's the starting point.
That's a good prompt.
Everything begins. So in answer to your question, one of the things that we've got to do both inside of AI and inside of the AI that is the hypnosis prompt to our subconscious computer is we've got to begin with the end in mind. We've got to know what's our outcome. What am I looking for here? Because again, just like the example that I used of the movie Bedazzled and the example that you get back what you send out, that's what you're getting right now. You're prompting your universe to give you everything it's giving you. You're also prompting it to not give you what it's not giving you. And if you'll be responsible for that, you can start getting a whole lot more of what you like. You said something about bald guys. And again, that's another frame. I'm not bald. I'm shaved.
Yeah, that's Jason. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're all referred to.
And I don't care. I can care less. Except it's a distinction.
Yeah.
And in that distinction, there's a difference. So for me, it's kind of like I've made $800 million as a hypnotist.
Yeah.
And I have hypnotist buddies that make a couple $100,000 a year and think they're doing really, really well. I'd just shoot myself. I couldn't survive. I couldn't fly on private jets. I couldn't have a palace in Las Vegas and a house on the beach in Southern California. When they walk through my door of the palace or the beach house, often they'll drop an F-bomb because they just cannot comprehend, how could a hypnotist make this kind of money? I believe show business is 2 words and business is the bigger word. Now, Studio Money, this facility, this venue, 31,000 square feet. We've got the virtual studio up here that we're shooting in. We've got a 400-seat Prosperity Theater meeting space. We've got a 30-seat VIP space and then a secondary 100-seat VIP space. The whole thing about how I produce events is I'm in business. First and foremost, I want to make money. That's what I'm here to do. Yes, I'm here to change lives, except if what you're in the business of is changing lives and you don't make any money, guess what? You'll be out of business.
And then you can't change lives.
You can't change lives.
Right.
So
it's a good reframe, by the way.
It's a phenomenal reframe, especially for people doing podcasts or doing what they do these days. People think, oh, if I just have enough good content or if I just, post enough times during the day. No, there's got to be a call to action in there. I was teaching this yesterday to a group of my students. There is a 3E principle that should be inside of everything that you're doing, your social media, your live content, your seminars, anything you're doing in the information marketing space should have these 3 E's. E number 1, entertain. Sometimes in social media, they call it the hook.
Yes.
If you don't have a hook, if you're not entertaining, if they wouldn't watch you for any reason other than the fact that they're amused, you're missing the point. You got to entertain them. That's the hook. That's what makes them watch. The second E is you've got to educate them. What do I mean? Yeah, you can take a look at 17 kittens running across a duckling hatchling or whatever. You can be entertained, yet it's not enough. You'll doom scroll past that pretty quickly. Yet if it's educational, it'll draw you in through the whole video. If the payout is some piece of useful information or some directive or action that you can take, they'll consume the content not just once all the way through. They'll come back again and again because it's useful to them. So the education is setting the hook. Entertainment gets them to look at it. The education lets them know you know what you're talking about. You are an authority. But here's the third E. This is what makes it a presentation versus a performance. Both are designed to move you emotionally. And the reason they're both designed to move you emotionally is all buying decisions are based first on emotion and then backed up with logic. Since your subconscious mind is your emotional mind, all buying decisions are based first subconsciously and then backed up consciously.
I think people don't realize that. So I'm glad you are mentioning that. And I want to call that out because I think so many people are speaking to the logical mind, and that's not what they're supposed to do.
Well, it's not what's going to make that person make a decision.
Yeah.
I just finished 3 days of seminars. So I'm a little bit hoarse. Forgive me on that. I can give a person all the logical, educational information that I have. It's not enough. It won't make them make a difference.
Yeah.
Because if they still have an emotional trigger that pushes them away, that's why people smoke cigarettes. All the logic in the world tells anybody cigarettes are bad for you. There's no benefit. That's why people stay in bad relationships. Logically, their brain says, I really should move on.
Yeah.
Emotionally, though, they're too sucked into it. They just cannot move on.
Yeah.
The third E.
Thanks for binging on another episode of AI and Chill Podcast with your host, Coach Deb, and her inner circle of AI marketing masterminds. Remember to like this episode, share it with your business BFFs, and subscribe for the first mover advantage on the latest AI hacks with a little barbecue sauce.